but I actually have the latest stuff still local, so I'll just show you guys in the video, and then I'll push it after.
Okay, we're live.
Cool. So let me share my screen, and if you guys can, mute your mics. Okay, so you should be seeing my Google Chrome right now. Let's see. Okay. So this is right. You can see the URL where I have this under. It's under my. Well, I'm using the my local version. Let me show you where to find it. So if you go to the repo after this, you'll be able to find it. Sorry, guys, distracted. Okay, it's called Project Structure of Objects. So I'll push up all the changes after this video. So you just go click there, and then you'll be able to play around with this. So what happens as soon as this page loads? This is like the pretend landing page that the user would land on when they first load our app. So let me go to local storage. So as soon as this page loads, it creates a file called subjects. And what's stored in there is all the person's subjects or classes. So if they want to have, I'm going to capitalize this. If they want to have a French class, they want to have a math class, let's add one more, an English class. So, oops. So what's happened, if you look here, this is why I kept it open, each time they add a class, it's adding a local storage file. So right here, here's my French class, here's my math, here's my English. And what is inside that file is another collection object. So subjects, this subjects file tracks how many classes I add, or how many subjects I add. And inside those files, it uses the exact same object, but instead to track how many topics. So let's say French. So I'm going to click on French. You guys can't really tell right now, but I'm inside my French topic. So let me add vocab. I'm going to add that to this. Maybe, I'm not going to spell it out, conjugations, funny words in French. So right now, these are all study lists that I have inside my French class. And you'll see that it added a local storage file for each of them. So right here's my vocab, here's my conjugation, here's my fun words. So let's say, let's go into fun words. So once you're in there, you can hit add card. And so this is just like Quizlet. So right now I'm going to add 3 cards. And right now I'm just going to put numbers in them. So right now that's actually, so this is term 1. Definition. So let me run through this. And over here, you can choose your type. You can leave it blank, or you can say this is a true or false question. This is a multiple choice question. You know, you can choose what type it is. And there's generic ones. You can just say, hey, this question belongs with group 1. Let me see. Just closing my door. My roommates are getting loud. So as soon as you fill out all your terms and you're good to go, you click Save Cards, and bam, it saved all of those right here into the correct file. So here's the fun word file, the flashcard list. Sorry, that's what it's being called. And now it has all this stuff in it. And now all these buttons work. So if I want to go back one level, I want to go back to my flashcard sets, I click here. Now I can choose a different one. I can choose vocab. I'm going to add a card, and I'm going to decide, you know what? I thought I was going to add all these cards, but I was lazy. I hit Save Cards. Nothing happens. It doesn't save empty sets. It just completely destroys them. So let me go back. Now I can go back all the way to the front, and now let's go to English. Again, in here I can add stuff. I can add anything I want.
Quick
And right
question,
now
Chris.
yeah.
So what if we leave a few cards blank and fill out the rest? Will it save the ones that have been filled?
Can you say that again? You're like cutting out.
Sorry, I've got my mic covered. If you have some that you have filled out and some that are left empty, and you hit save cards, what will that save the ones that have been filled and delete the ones that are empty?
Yeah, so I need to go through and double check everything because it, like right now, it did throw a console error. So normally, if I do this, both of these should get thrown away. And see, they did. They got thrown away, but there also was an error. So right now I need to go fix that error. But in general, no. If you leave out a term or you leave out a definition, it considers that set incomplete, and it just completely destroys it. It doesn't bother saving it.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, so there's a few little...
I just have a question. I just came in a little bit late, but I was just playing around with the local storage. So I think that has to be validated also on that site. I don't know if I did, but
local storage is working like 100%. It's perfect.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Okay.
I did add a function.
Okay.
I think I added a method to your local storage though.
Oh, excellent.
This is just being a problem in some of the new code I'm making because it's taken a lot of work to do this. Like being able to add an infinite amount of cards in one go, like it's insanely it's not overly complicated, but I really have to like make sure I do it right. So obviously I missed something because I'm throwing an error still, but right now it's working 90%.
Okay.
So I'll just go through this real quick again. I'm going to delete all these because I don't know when you came in, Jesus.
I just barely came in.
Okay, so all the features are basically in. Right now, it's very, very easy, guys, to completely break this code. If you hit one of these buttons and you're on the wrong page, it'll just totally destroy the code, and you have to delete your local storage and start over. So just make sure you know where you're at. So right now, the page just loaded. Now I can make a class. So I'm going to make a French class. I'm going to add it. Now I can't add a topic right now. If I add a topic right now, I'll break the code because I need to click on that and go inside that class. Now I can add that topic. And now if I click on that, now I can add cards. And nothing got added because those were all empty. So right now, so an error is happening when one of these is missing. So watch. Oh, it saved it. See? Okay, so I need to troubleshoot that last little part, but other than that, all the object structure is 100% done. So that's how it works. Let me go show you the code if you guys want to look at that. Let me walk you through that. And this is going to be a lot. So the first function is load subjects. Let me take you all the way to the bottom, actually. Straight down here. Right here, at the very, very bottom of our code, this is a ready function. What it does is it's a vanilla JavaScript document ready. So it's like jQuery, how jQuery can check that the document's ready for you to start messing around with. That's what this is. So any functions that you guys decide may need this feature, you can pop them in here. So for instance, as soon as the document's ready, I want it to run all of these things. I want it to create these variables, and I want it to run this function as soon as the document's ready before the user does anything. So if you guys make any functions that need that feature as well, go ahead and just add them down here. It's at the very bottom of the file. And it has to stay here. Don't move this. If you move this to a different part of the function, it'll break. It won't work. So it has to stay at the bottom. So let me go back to the top. So this is the function that's called as soon as the page loads. And all it does is It looks in local storage for that subjects file. If the subject file is not there, it immediately creates an empty one, so the user can start adding classes to it. After that, we have functions, and these are all commented, so I won't go into too much detail, but gen stands for generate, so just as generate subject tiles. So let me go back. So anytime I hit this add button right here, it fires that generate subject tile function, and it adds it to that page. And then there's also a generate function for this one and a generate function for this one as well. So that's what you'll see in here, and I named them all the same. So add subject and generate subject, those two are kind of like related functions. They help each other. Same with load chosen subjects. So each of these is a button. It's an on-click event. So by clicking on French, I've fired a function that now loads what's inside it using this, load chosen subject. And then same thing with the topics. So these are considered topics now. So let me go back. Let me make a proper one. So that's a topic. This level is the topics level. And so it's controlled with these functions. Same with load flashcards. I mean, they're pretty self-explanatory if you walk through these codes, and I have tons of comments. So what do I really want to show you guys? So right here is the function I need to fix. Save cards is still a little broken. As you can see here, I'm still working on a lot of it, but it's almost done. So right here is something I need to explain. This is, have I talked to you guys about immediately invoked functions before?
I don't remember that.
Okay. So I don't fully understand them anymore. I used to know why I'm supposed to use them a long time ago. I stopped using them. I figured it'd be good for this project, so I put it in. If you want to know more, go to this link. It explains them. But basically, all the functions, all the objects, sorry, let me use my correct terms, all the objects that run my code, all this stuff up here that's writing to local storage, is inside this immediately invoked function. And so what you have to do, I don't know where the bottom of this is, sorry, a lot of scrolling. Is that the bottom? No, it's not the bottom. I passed it. Okay, right here. So what it is, this is how you would do plugins. This is like a JavaScript plugin. So everything inside of this function is never accessible. No one can access the functions in here unless I register them with the window. And so that's what we've done. So inside here, there's three things that have been registered with the window. Storage is all of Jesus's local storage code. So that way, in any of your code, all you guys need to do is call storage dot whatever you need to do. If you want to open a file, if you want to save a file, if you want to remove a file, all you need to do is use this global variable called storage. Same thing with collection and flashcard set. But to be honest, I don't think anyone else is going to use these. I think it's only my code that needs them. But they're there if you need them. Does that make sense? Am I losing any of you?
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's the key right there. If you guys need to use local storage, that's how you do it. Storage dot whatever you need to do. So let me go back up and...
It's like encapsulating code on Java or something like that?
Yeah, pretty much. It's like Java. It's getting closer to that.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I do have use strict turned on. So anything in here is correct 100% JavaScript. It throws extra errors if anything's wrong. So, like Jesus, your code is like perfect. It's not throwing any errors. We're good to go. So right here's the collection object. Again, just read these comments. They explain what it is. The collection object is used on the first two levels. So the first level is where the user can enter their classes, And then the second level is once they choose a class, they can add topics to that class. And then the third level is flashcards. So again, you guys should be kind of used to this now. We have our methods, our add method, our recreate. Okay, let me tell you what recreate is. This is just so you guys understand what my code's doing. I don't think you'll ever need to come in here and mess with it, but in case you do need to use it, recreate has to be called when we deserialize an object. So when we bring an object out of local storage, the way this function works, we cannot call add like we've done in the past, because add writes to local storage. We would just create like an infinite loop. As soon as we pull something out of local storage, we immediately try to write it back in. It would just create this giant fragmented mess. So instead, I made a separate recreate function. It's basically the add function, but with all the local storage stuff removed from it. So just keep that in mind in case you ever need to mess around with the collection object. Another new thing, this actually might go away. I don't think I need that anymore. It was kind of for debugging. So this isn't finished, but remove children, remove dependents. So if someone deletes a whole class, we have to read all the local storage files that are related to that class and make sure to delete all of them instead of just leaving them hanging there. So that's what these functions handle.
Chris, that's what you were explaining to me in class. That's like we can delete the topic, but it needs to go in and actually delete everything inside that folder or that space.
Yeah, so like right here, here's my French class. Now I can delete it here. Bam. Now I've completely broken our code because there's like two files, this one and this one, that rely on what I just deleted. So this function in here handles all that busy work for you. Oh, I think I passed it. I haven't tested this part though, so when I get around to it, I'll test it to make sure it does all that work for you guys. Now, one new thing. So here's the deserialize function. It works pretty much the same. I did have to change it a bit. So, like I just automatically changed the name to what was saved in that flat object. But one new thing is a serialize function. So instead of letting JSON parse this, I still let JSON parse this, but before I let JSON do anything, I have to run the collection object and my flashcard object. They have to run a serialization method. If they don't, you'll completely break our application, because what happens... Actually, let me show you what happens. How am I going to do this? Okay, I will just do this. Okay, so let's get a new page. We're going to add to our subjects, class 1. Everything's fine. And let me add class 2. You see how they're not showing here? How they're not showing up? There's been an error. Right here, this error has been thrown like 3 times now. And what's happening, if you go and look inside this, if I open collections, it has the correct length. I added 3 things, but it wouldn't show anything else because errors happen. So if I go to head, it points to next, it points to next, and at next we're at the tail, but then it points back to itself. It keeps going in this infinite loop. You see how I'm just constantly opening these? It just goes forever. I only put 3 things in here. So what that is that's kind of a... I don't know if it's an error in JavaScript. I don't know how Java handles this. But basically, by having a pointer... So by having a pointer next that points to this node, but then this node has a pointer that points to the previous node. It creates a circle. There's too many things pointing to each other, and JavaScript does not like it. It just throws an error and it will refuse to let anything run properly. So I put it up here. It's called a circular reference. So what I do here is I clone the object. I clone it and I remove all of the circular references. I delete the tail. Yeah, so we throw out the tail and we throw out all the previous. We do not store any previous pointers. And that's how we get around circular reference. So then we pass it to local storage. Then it's saved by Jesus' code. And then when I get it back, my deserialized code has been changed just a little bit. And it puts back the tail. It puts back all the previous pointers that we had to delete. So JSON would actually save our object for us. Does that make sense?
Makes plenty of sense.
Any questions on that?
So first you have to remove the previous links of the nodes on the list, and then once you get it back from local storage, you re-added them.
Yeah. So right here on 468 and then 471. So 471 deletes the tail. It turns it into null. And as it loops through that object, it deletes all the previous pointers right there with the code I highlighted. And that way JSON's fine. It doesn't throw any errors. It doesn't complain that there's a circular reference going on. And then all we do in the deserialize function, it doesn't even matter because it gets that flat object back, and all that it needs is a pointer to the next node, and we still have that. And so when it goes through this little loop right here, remember how I made that recreate function? It's pretty much the same as add.
Okay.
So it's just adding it back into our new object. So everything's recreated. The tail is recreated. All the previous pointers are recreated.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out in case you guys do use the collection object or the flashcard set objects. You have to serialize them before you send them to JSON, or you'll break everything. And so let me go back up here. So I know I have an example of it up here. So right here. So when the person decides to add a subject, they decide, let's say I added my French class. As soon as I find out that it's okay, local storage is allowing me to make that new file for French class, I update our object, my collection object, and right here you can see as I'm passing it to JSON, this is the JSON call right here, I immediately serialize it. I don't send it to JSON as a normal object. I serialize it first. So I think that's pretty simple. I think that makes sense. But if you guys need help, if that doesn't make sense, let me know.
The thing that's confusing me is the JavaScript, how it doesn't like the circular references, but that doesn't really need explanation. We just have to avoid it. So
yeah,
I understand why we're doing it.
Yeah.
But
what happens
I don't get it.
is when you send something to JSON, is it JSON parse? Is that what stores it in the local storage?
Well, actually, it actually brings it back, so you can manipulate it. The stringify is the one that put it into local storage because local storage shows handles text.
Got you. Okay, so that's what's
so the JSON itself, it's not. JSON itself doesn't. The JSON parser, JSON stringify, they don't actually do anything directly with local storage. It's changing it from an object to a string or a string to an object, which then that's what you need to do to be able to. You need to change it to a string to get into local storage, and when you pull it from local storage, you have to change it from a string back to an object.
Yeah, and so Jesus' code, and that's what we're going to talk about. Jesus' code does that for us. You can send in an object to local storage, and Jesus' code will stringify it for you. And when you call it, when you try to open it, Jesus' code will also parse it for you. So all you need to do is just deserialize it or serialize it. You don't have to worry about the parsing or the stringifying. So Andrew, what's really happening, the circular reference, the way JSON stringify works is it just picks apart all the key value pairs, and it creates it turns them into strings. Well, the problem is when it's trying to do that, it's saying, well, wait a minute, this pointer points to this object over here, but that object points back to this object that I just came from. And so it creates a circular reference where the JSON stringify is trying to write out a string of text that represents this object. And so it writes, let's say it writes A. It writes node A, it jumps to node B, but then node B pointed back to A, so now it writes another A, but then A pointed to B, so it writes another B, and then now this infinite loop happens. It keeps jumping back and forth.
Okay, I got it. Okay.
Yeah, and so it just, instead, JSON stringify just throws an error and refuses to do anything. So that's why we have to do it for it with serialize.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I understood why we were doing it and how this was working. I just didn't quite get where the circular.
Yeah, no worries. So the next object is the flashcard set. So the flashcard set contains flashcards. So two objects. Again, flashcard set is the list. Flashcards are the links in the list. So this is level 3. So the first 2 levels use a collection object, and the third level, when the user's actually making cards, that's in here. It's in a totally different object. And again, this has its own add and deserialize. I haven't even added the remove function yet. Here's the flashcard object. But that's pretty self-explanatory. Down here, if you guys want to look at it, so it should be around the 600s. I mean, I'm going to keep adding code, so this is going to go farther down. But this is Jesus's local storage code. And I'd recommend reading through it so you know how to use everything. But it's straightforward. When you want to create a brand new file for local storage, if it doesn't exist already, you use create. Here you can open it. Now, save and update are the same function. So if you use storage.save, it'll just pass what you gave it to the update. The reason I did that is because you might forget. You might have an object you want to save to local storage, and you might forget that, oh, hey, I'm supposed to do storage.update. I think it's more natural to think just storage.save. So you can use either one. They do the exact same thing. Check quota. So this will see if there's any space left to add anything to local storage. And I put a comment here like, this isn't very reliable, but that's not Jesus's fault by any means. It's just the standards organizations, like, I don't know, they're doing a terrible job with local storage. Like, there should be a better function to do this, but Jesus wrote up this really cool function that will check if we're out of space in local storage. So if you know you're going to save something big to local storage, you might want to run that first. And then check file. So this will see if a file name exists, and remove that file. And ID, I actually need to change the wording on this. So ID will send you back a unique generated ID from this function. And so that's what these are. All of these strings, let me go over here. You see how the file names are pretty weird? That's a uniquely generated ID. That way we don't accidentally overwrite each other's files. This ID is based off time, so it's a hashed, it's MD5 hashed time plus a random number. So it takes two random numbers and it adds them to your computer's local time, and then it MD5 hashes them. So all you really need to know out of all of that is it's a unique ID. So if anything in the app needs a unique ID, like even if you need a unique ID for a div or something, this can generate one for you. So you just do storage.id, and it'll give you a new random ID that you can use for anything you want. Any questions on that?
Oh, that's super nice, though.
Yeah, so it won't immediately be good for CSS because you won't know what the ID is. But if you're doing something where you, on the fly, for instance, generate a lot of divs, you can give each div a generated ID, and then you can even make, on the fly, some CSS rules for those if you wanted.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, just thoughts, food for thought. I have my find function in here in case anyone needs to use it. I need it. I need it for my codes. That's why it's in here, but it's here for you guys to use too if you need. So if you need a refresher on it, just let me know. But it accepts two parameters. Even though there's no parameters right here, you can send in two parameters. You send in what you're looking for. So let's say you're looking for a class called tile, or tiles. But you can also send in spelling this wrong, but I'm just cutting that short. You can also tell it where to start looking in the document. I don't know if you guys will have need for this, but just in case, that's how you use it. You just tell it what you're looking for, and you don't even need this part. You can leave it out if you want. It'll take longer to run, though. And that's pretty much it. That's all you guys need to know. Down here, I have an MD5 hash function. That comes from PHP. This is just a JavaScript port. It's not my code. The code's right here. I'm just using it to generate our unique IDs. And then down here as well, also not my function, we have, man, this MD5 function is long. So this right here is a cross-browser compatible check if the DOM is ready function. So it will work all the way back to Internet Explorer 8 and up. It works on everything. And so, like I said, if you have any functions that need to run as soon as the page is loaded, go ahead and add them in here. But that's it. Sorry, guys. I know that took a long time. That's my crash course in the core objects that I have ready. I still got a lot of work to do. For instance, these buttons, we need to hide them. So right now, if I'm on the main page, for instance, none of these other things should show. And so I'll work, once Andrew's done with all the HTML stuff, I can plug that into the appropriate parts so they get hidden when they shouldn't be showing. But that's it. I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to turn the time back to you guys for any questions or anything you guys want to go through.
Well, that's awesome, Chris. I was going to ask questions on that. So I have like a write-up kind of done for the HTML. I haven't done anything with CSS yet. I didn't end up having the time to do it, but I can show that if you guys want to take a look at that. But first, just questions, so if anybody has any.
Oh, yeah. Does anyone have questions on this?
Well, right now, no, but I don't know if, you know, as we go and use some of those functions, we may have, so I'm probably going to be contacting you if I have any question on any other functions, or if I don't get the idea.
That's fine. And to be honest, most of you guys, you probably will not need to ever touch all that code I walked you through, that collection stuff. What you will need, though, is right here. So there's two objects. So when the user chooses a class, it gets saved in a global variable here. And the one you guys are going to be really, really concerned about is chosen topic. So let me go back here really quick. So now that I go in here, once I clicked French, this right here, all of this data got saved right into there. Now that I'm in here, if I make a class, let's say vocab, now that I added a vocab list, as soon as I click in there, let me go to console. Right there, there's the flashcard set. Right now there's nothing in it, but I can add some cards. So let me just add one card. Save that. Let me clear this so it's not confusing anyone. So there you go. There's our vocab class. That's the flashcard. So you see how I'm inside this set. Here's all the data. So that's all you really need to worry about is this global variable right there. So let's say, so later on we'll add buttons up here. So let's say we added a game that that creates a quiz. It instantly creates a 10-question quiz or something. So they click a button up here that activates it. All you need to know, instead of worrying about all my collection code, is just grab this chosen topic. If you grab what's inside it, you'll get this flashcard object. And then with that flashcard object, all you have to do is loop through it. Here's the head. And it doesn't have a tail right now because there's only one thing in it. But then you just keep looping through the next.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. So we are going to be working with the third level, and that's what we're going to be manipulating, and that's going to be saved on that chosen topic global variable. Okay.
Yeah, and that's all you'll ever need, because as soon as the user hits this button right here, or this button right here, it gets deleted. So look, now nothing is there. They can't play any games, they can't do anything because they haven't selected a list. They need to go inside and select a list, and now they're ready to play games or study and do whatever they want. So that's all you'll ever have to worry about is a flashcard object.
Okay.
Cool. All right. I'm going to stop sharing if everyone's okay with that.
Okay. Okay.
So I can briefly walk through. Mine won't take very long. So if everybody is okay with that.
Yeah.
So this might conflict a little bit with what Christopher just shared. Some of the things in here, the structure-wise, but it's pretty easy to change and fix up stuff in HTML. So open to input as far as the structure and layout, but I've put together a skeleton so far. Okay, so let me. Okay, are you guys seeing this?
Yep.
Okay, so we have here. I just have everything separated into divs with each menu having its own div, and each menu I put a header in just so you know, oh, this is a new menu. And so we have first here the startup pointer page, which is going to be like the master page. I think that's what we referred to it in the last meeting, if I remember correctly. We just gotta have just like the master list page. This is where you're gonna start, and then this will point you to the main menu where you can select what class you want. And I have all of these will be the same div class so that they're easier in CSS. And then I just put these in as examples: class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4. But we're going to make it so that you can add more classes inside there. So this is just examples. And then as you click on the class, it will lead you into class menu, and then there you can click on one of your topics, one of your study card sets, and then inside there you will be able to click to, and I used button for this, but it doesn't have to be a button. You can do flashcard, quiz, add flashcard, remove or edit flashcards, and then I just made little pages for each of those as well. So that's what I have so far. I know it doesn't seem like a whole ton, but I wanted to keep it super loose so that I could get input in this meeting.
Yeah.
And yeah, just see what you guys think. So it doesn't look super exciting right now because we haven't done anything with we haven't done anything with it. So anything you guys have to say on that?
So the design we will need to change a little bit. Let's see. I'm trying to look at your code here. Because what it should be is one.
You scroll
so
up or down.
There should be a header or a footer wherever we want to place our menus. I kind of like the idea that Brandon said, where their hamburger menu stuff is at the bottom.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it doesn't bother me. But anyways, a header or a footer, and then a main content area. So here, let me show you something real quick. Let me type this up. I'll share my screen in a second.
I completely forgot about the hamburger menu. I know we talked about that, so I can do that. That won't take too long. What do you guys think as far as design? I like the idea of having it in the footer on our website, but when I switch it for scaling it down for mobile, having it at the top.
Well, having it at the footer all the time is good, especially for mobile. That's what what Google does, how they always have their buttons in the bottom right or left, so your thumb can tap it easy.
Oh, yeah, okay. So you think bottom for both? That sounds good to me. You can do that. Put them both in like the footer.
Okay, so let me share my screen real quick. Okay, and okay, so you guys can see that. So yeah. I left out all the other stuff, but basically in between the body tags, all we need is one area, and in my code I've been calling it ID of content, but you can change that. Whatever you change it to, I'll change to in my code. And then here's our footer. So that's basically it. That is our whole page. I mean, you'll have more code down here for our footer. So all you need to do is write up the CSS and the HTML that will make this look nice. So it'll make the footer, you know, maybe take up the bottom 100 pixels and this gets the rest of the page or something. Inside here, I'm going to add some more dots. That should always be empty, well, sort of. As soon as the page loads, my load subjects script is going to run, and it's going to erase this. It's going to erase what's in there, and it's going to replace it with this. French class or whatever class the person made.
Yeah.
And that's all it's going to replace in there. You know.
And just one question for if we are developing like the games and stuff like that, that area is going to contain whatever it's pulled from Ajax, right?
Yeah, anything and everything that gets created or whatever pages change gets put right in here.
Okay.
So you don't need to generate the whole page's structure. All you need to generate is your own little HTML. And so what you can do, Andrew, though, since you know the basic layout, So level 1, I'm going to be sending you divs called tiles. So now you can make a page like this, style it with CSS to where the tiles line up nice and neat and they look good. But then when the user clicks on a tile, all this is going to get erased, and it's going to be replaced. In this case, it's going to be replaced by more tiles, but it'll be like vocab. Oh, I spelled that wrong, but you know, words, whatever the study list they made.
Right, and that's kind of what I was trying to display in my example, where I had it go, okay.
So don't make multiple IDs though. This ID will always stay the same.
Okay. Okay.
And then, just so you know as well, the final level, for me anyways, this is so you can plan for it. It'll make a div with a class of, I think it's called Flash. You'll have to look. I think I called it flashcard or flashcard set, something like that. And then I have all this like nested divs going on. So you'll have to look at the HTML I have in my code, but that will get copied here. And so it's up to you. I don't know what you guys want. If you guys want, like, if the computer screen's big enough, should the flashcards line up next to each other, or do we want to do it just like Quizlet, where it's a term and a definition per line? Whatever you guys want to do. But if you want it like per line, then Andrew, you'll have to account for that in the CSS.
Yeah.
What do you mean you're talking about like per line? Like, what and which part of the app are you talking about for this class?
So right here is level 1, right here is level 2, right here is level 3, where they're actually looking at the flashcards. I think it should look like Quizlet. So let me bring that down here. Sorry, you guys are going to see that a lot. Oh, sorry. I closed my Chrome.
So Christopher, quick question. I'm not then building any of the different levels. I'm just doing the CSS as if the levels are being sent to me.
Yeah, so you just pretend like, so like this is page 3. So right now you'll make 3 different HTML pages that could ever possibly exist. So right now this is the 3rd possible page that could exist.
Oh, and they should all be separate pages on HTML entirely, not, because that's what I was doing. So I was giving everything with a div ID would be inside ID content. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I mean, it can be either way. You can put them all in one, just like, well, yeah, you could put them in one. I don't know how that would look, though. I feel like that would.
No, it would be easier. It would be easier to do the CSS if I do them separate. That's why I was confused as to how that structure would work. So I'll do it that way, the way you suggested. Makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I'm trying to open up a new Chrome. Give me 1 second to answer Evan's question. All right, I closed my Chrome, so I have to launch a new one. So what I was saying, Evan, and correct me if I'm wrong, what I was talking about is, so the 3rd level, I'm thinking, should look like this. This is what our 3rd level should be, where it's the term, it's the definition, and then I'll have my buttons over here, probably stacked on top of each other, because all I need is a edit button and a delete button. So that's what I was saying. Like, maybe the 3rd level can look like this.
I was really confused because I thought you were talking about like having like the flashcards, like the cards themselves, like doing a flashcard study, like right next to each other. It's like, I'm pretty sure you should only have one on there one at a time, but
That's what I thought you was talking about too.
Yeah,
so
no.
I was
Yeah.
a little confused.
Yeah, so I'm just talking about this list. And, like, so, Andrew, if you want to copy this verbatim, you can. But I also don't care. Like, it's whatever design you choose. Like, I really think it'd be cool if these were separate. Like, if they had some margin between these 2 cards and they weren't touching.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, but whatever, man. That's up to you. You use your vision.
Great.
And hold on, someone wanted to add to this class. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing.
Wait. So, Chris, going back to your little example that you threw up real quick with the you had the div flashcard.
Yeah. So I need her. Let me look at my code. I'll give it to you right now. Oh.
Will that be different for everybody's different pieces? Will like the third level be different? Because so we have the first level, which you're clicking on which class you want, like French, Math, English.
Yeah.
And then that takes you to the second level, like okay, vocab, words, math problems, whatever. And then it takes you to the third level. What does it show in the third level? Is it just the flashcards? Because where are we putting quizzes, games?
Yeah. So what will happen? So actually, it'll be like this. You'll get a ton of like flashcard sets back, and inside here will be the term, and then the definition in their own divs. I don't remember what this name is, but what you're asking, it so is like, where's all the games going to be? Where's that stuff? That's
which level should that be on? Because I thought we were doing that on the third.
So let me go to this. You guys can still see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on the third, what will happen is all these buttons, I'm going to hide them. So as you go to the correct level, buttons will show up and buttons will hide. So when you make it, like this one's broken, I don't think it goes all the way to the vocab level. But if you make it to a vocab list, so right here where I'm circling my mouse, so all those cards are showing up. What will happen up here, or if you put the navigation at the bottom, is now some extra buttons will pop up. So study flashcards or play this game, those buttons will show up down here now.
Got it. Okay. Well, I was kind of basing mine off the structure that we set up in one of our first meetings. So it's a slightly different. Like the buttons are in different places. So yeah, I like it this because you've already written up the code and it'll be easier to do it this way. I think so. Let's do it.
A nice way also, just so you know, to be able to manage, keep track of what level you're at. I mean, this might just be me, but I find that if you give the body an ID, and then as you are trying to do something else, you just change the ID of the body.
Well, so what's going to happen is, so right now you guys can't see it. All you see is us clicking down levels, and it doesn't make much sense. Like I clicked in here and it's hard to tell, but it's going to be more like this, where so the user chose to, okay, I'm going in here, and you see how the whole page changed? So
yeah,
I'll have something like this show up at the top. So if they're on this page, at the top right here or something, it'll say like, choose your class. And then when you choose your class, that text will change to choose which flashcards you want to study. So you'll know which level you're at based on that.
No. I get what you're saying. I'm just talking about just for our purposes, for us trying to for you or for Andrew or whoever, whatever, if you're working on a feature and say like in your menu you want certain items to appear, or like certain CSS rules to apply only at a certain level, then
oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Then just adding that ID class can help to the body. Can make styling and working with that a lot easier, because when you say, do this only if the body is this, or for example.
See, and that's what I did. That's what I was going for when I did my div ID. Like Chris, when you said you only need one of these, I had so many different ones, but what I was going for was more what Evan was saying. Like, I'm just trying to make it easier to do everything on one page. Go, okay, in this div ID, this becomes. I was using incorrect syntax. I should have used body ID would have made more sense, but.
No, I get that. I'm just saying, instead of having to do like tile, here's your rule for tile, but if the body is level 1, do this rule instead. If the body's level 2, do this rule. Instead of having to do that, I can just, right here, here's our first level. We could just do that in my code. And then on the second level, so instead of having to make these extremely straight rules, that's another way we can do it.
Right, I was thinking on the same thing, just using classes for the different levels, so that way when you are on a certain level, certain CSS rules will trigger the entire class instead of having different IDs. You know, having IDs is good, but it would make it complicated for whoever is doing the CSS for the page to track down all the IDs, because IDs will be unique through all the page.
Okay. I just meant just having an ID just in the body. I wasn't talking. I'm sorry, I wasn't meaning to put an ID in throughout the thing, because yes, trying to do IDs throughout the entire page would be awful idea.
I get what you're saying. So like you would do this, but then that changes all of our CSS because we have to make CSS specific rules based off that ID.
No, you can still do .tile and it will still affect it.
Yes. So if I do that, it'll still affect it. But if this is present, this rule gets ignored, and so that'll make that can make CSS harder. Is what you're saying.
That rule will only be ignored if there's another rule that is conflicting with in the .tile.
No, yeah. So in this case, right now, how I put level 1 up here, this rule will get completely ignored. It won't take effect at all.
Right, because priorities go first, IDs, then classes.
What was that?
That's not completely accurate. The only things that will be ignored in the just .tile is if there is a rule saying for the exact same attribute that it's trying to alter in the upper one. So say you give a width in the bottom one. So yeah, so if you do color, and then if you try to do a color, in that one, yes, the first color would be the first color would be the one that takes precedence. But give a width in there. So in the bottom one, just give a width. The width in there, if you just left it like that, the width would still take effect.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Cascading.
Yeah. It doesn't just completely ignore the entire class rule. It just says if there are conflicting rules, take the one that's more specific.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So that's up to you, Andrew. Since you're doing the HTML and the CSS, if you want to do that with IDs, all you'll need to do is add that to the functions at the top, the load subject, the load tile. The load flashcards. Inside those, you'll need to add the code that adds an ID to the document body. But we'll also need to make sure that so there'll be 5 functions you'll need to change. So then the 2 more, when the user clicks these buttons, you'll also need to make sure that you delete that ID that you added to the body. So that'll work. It's just the first 5 functions at the top of my script. You'll just add it there.
I just in some parts of the app, I mean, I can understand where you feel well, it's completely pointless to do it to do that. But say for for some things when you're like, for mine, say take for example the flashcards. There's some things that I'm not saying that I have to have it or I can do it other ways, but if I might have to step out or just do something with the from the body instead of trying to do it from the card itself. And I need to say, okay, this like if I'm trying to like spin the card like a bunch of times, I need to be able to say, okay, do this, but I need some time reference, say like the set function out or whatever. I can't remember how to say it right now.
Set timeout.
Set timeout, yeah. I need to be able to, for like one of those things, I need to be able to say, okay, change the ID of this, and so that this rule will stand even when the card is changing.
Well, actually, you don't need to place an ID. You could do it directly on the body and just add the ID, don't you? And remove and add the ID dynamically.
I can do that on mine. I was just saying, just in general, I'm not sure. I was just saying other features might benefit from that. I was just saying that for the benefit of everyone. Yes, on my own one, I can do that and I can get rid of it.
Oh, okay. I was just thinking.
I get what you're saying. Well, to make this even easier, then, because I don't think we need IDs for the first 3 levels, but I really get what you're saying, Evan. Like that does make a lot of sense. So what we could do is make I'll actually just add it, a function where we can just call it, and it'll auto add that ID to the body, and it'll auto delete it whenever you want. That way you don't have to write your own code. So anyone else who needs it for their features, you just call that code and it'll tack on the ID. How's that sound?
I like that suggestion, because if we are trying to do this like if we're trying to separate this up so that everybody has equal share of the app to do, it would be easier if they could go in and make those changes specific to the body that they're going to be using. And if I don't know, if I'm trying to build that in the general skeleton, that could get confusing. Mess things up inside that. So that should be more something you can call specific to what you're building. So I like the suggestion.
Yeah, that makes... What do you think of that, Evan? We'll make a function so it's easy for anyone who needs it. Because if you need it, I think other people might need it for their apps.
Yeah, for different parts of like different games and things, I could see that being necessary.
I think that's a great idea.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'll add it to my code.
So guys, this meeting's gone a little bit long, so let's get wrapping up here so that we can get going. But
okay, so I have one question though I need to ask.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know I missed the last meeting, so I know that I'm working on the flashcard. How much of that am I doing? Like, am I doing the entire page, or is Andrew designing the flashcard and then I'm working from that, or?
So all you need to worry about, Andrew's handling the whole layout and framework. So all you need to worry about is that content part where your stuff gets loaded to. You'll just need to write the HTML that gets loaded to that portion. So you don't need the whole body and stuff. And you also need to write your own CSS that you need, and later on we'll merge it into Andrew's.
Yeah, so you can create it like it's you're doing everything on your own, and then you can not a lot will be taken from what you create if you do it all on your own.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't mean to sound like a narcissist, but I do need, Andrew, I will need you to, and I don't know if that was the right word, but I need you to, because if you're going to develop how the card themselves look, I need you to develop that, because some of my things I have to do specific to what the card looks like.
Well, since it's a feature that you're doing, you can design the card however you want as well.
Okay.
I'm not designing the look of the card. I'm designing the basic look of the entire page Per feature, that should be whoever's doing the feature works on the CSS for a specific feature.
He's pretty much designing the menus for the drill down on the different levels, and then whatever is specific to the app that we are developing, we are doing it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So
That's right. I just wanted to clarify. Yeah, that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm just doing the basic. It's basically I'm like making the menus so that you can get to each of the features that you will build, and so that the basic parts of the features you build will have continuity with the rest of the site.
Okay.
The background colors and the font sizes and whatnot, whatever stuff, but specifics per feature, that should be your design, because I don't want to come in and limit how you're doing what you're doing.
All right, well that sounds good then.
Yeah, I'm aiming 100% to have my part done by Thursday night. So
Okay.
So if you have the framework done, that'd be great. If not, I'll just mock up a very, very simple one that we can transfer to yours later.
Well, I can try and get it done. I can try and get it done by Thursday. It'd probably be more realistic for me to say I'll have it done Saturday. But
that's fine. But at least anyone who wants to start making features
can build something.
Yeah.
And so, will you have a function that will get like, that? I mean, I don't know if you. I mean, I was just following. I might have just misunderstood that, and you may have this already. But do you have a feature, or like a function where? And you just might have to teach me how to do this, how to use the function properly. But for me, for the flashcards, I need to grab all the flashcards for a set.
Yeah, and so that's stored in that global variable chosen topic.
Okay, so then how do I guess my question, you'll need to show me, or at some point share with everyone how to get that out of that object.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll see if I can make a video on that. All you do, if you read through my code, you can see me access them a ton of times. All it is you take the head out of it. Remember, it's a key value pair, so you just take the head and put it in your own little variable, and then you loop through it. You just keep looping through the next. So that's hard to explain. I'll show you in a video. It'll make more sense.
Okay.
So I'm going to share my screen real quick.
Okay.
Here's our proposal that we wrote up. You guys seeing that okay?
Yep.
Okay, so we're here in additional features. This is like, it's looking like by the end of the week we'll be able to have most of our core features at least somewhat set up. So that leaves anybody who is wanting to do work. I know some people were posting and going, okay, well, what can I do to help with the app at this point? That leaves additional features we can start putting those in. So I have that list pulled up here, some of the additional features we had, and this is still, they're additional features so we can add more, but you could start working on a game that could do memory match, because your functions are all written up so that a lot of these could be built.
Yeah.
Even though the framework isn't there yet, you can start building a memory match game. You can start building a disappearing memory game. So, does anybody want to volunteer to do any of those that might not have something to do right off the bat? Or does anybody feel like they don't have anything to work on?
Okay, up to this point, we have all the functionality for moving and creating objects and the different levels, and we have the local storage. So then from the core features, what's left to do? Because I think we have to know what's left to do from the core features and concentrate on that, and then on the other features. I think Brandon was working on the Ajax, right? That's
Yes.
one of the core features that's pending out there.
Yep.
What else? Flashcards, I think it's done.
Flashcards Evan's working on. So I don't know. I'm not seeing any other features that really are in the core that need to be done other than those menus, which I'm going to be working on.
Quizzes, present your turn, definition, multiple choice answers. I think that's one of the things that I don't see.
Yeah, nobody's taken doing building the quiz generator.
Yeah, that's the one I typed up. I have some ideas, so if someone's willing to take that one, I'll help you with it, but I don't think I'm going to take any more features.
Yeah.
All right.
Unless they're like additional ones and you got free time. I know all of us have so much free time.
Yeah, I know. Well, I've finished with the local storage. I can take one more thing and work on that.
If you want to work on the quizzes, I don't know if Cahoon is still there.
Yeah, here.
Yeah, do you want to do the quizzes, Cahoon? I mean, if you need help with it, I can help you with it, 'cause I had a rough idea of how I think it would work, but I don't know. If you want to just take it on, are you okay with that?
I'm not sure which quiz you said, like the additional features or
Yeah, so that'll be an additional feature where once
question warrior or I don't know.
Yeah, Chris, quizzes was part of our core features as
A core feature.
like
Okay.
you could do flashcards or you could do a quiz form.
Oh, cool. Well, then the core feature then, because Evan's doing flashcards, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So if you're
That
okay,
gives- That gives us all something we can do, or that we can do as part of the core, because Jesus has already done local storage. And so, Jesus, you could work on an additional feature.
If you want, I can take the memory match thing.
That would be good, I think.
Okay, I can start working on that.
okay, guys. So I just pushed all the code up. If you guys are going to start making memory match games and stuff, I would just plan on it breaking a little bit because my code's not 100% done, but
Chris,
you can use it.
I'm gonna be honest to you. I probably will start on Friday.
Okay,
So-
perfect. Yeah,
So I'll
just
start
wait
on
till-
Friday and Saturday because those are the day I have more time. I've even taken some time off from work on Friday, so
Right.
I'm gonna start until Friday.
Perfect. Yeah, wait till Friday because I promise you guys by Thursday it'll be 100% done, no bugs.
All right, excellent. I'll wait until Friday. I'll work on it. Probably I'll do some stuff on my own, but not touching your code. I'm just gonna do something on the side, like design or whatever I need to do first to see how things are gonna work.
Sounds good to me.
So does everybody have something that they can be working on?
Yeah, I think we do. I don't know.
Awesome. So when should we meet again? Should we wait another week or should we meet sooner?
I think we should meet next Tuesday, but if anyone runs into snags, just call a meeting. And so everyone be open for maybe a meeting on Friday or Saturday if anyone needs help.
I think that's a good idea.
I think also just highly communicating on our board is also going to be key to make sure that doesn't happen as well. Just saying, it's like, here, I need this specific thing, or if you just need to communicate, just make sure that you're keeping in touch.
Yeah, let's try and make like kind of like a group policy where we go in and check like once a day at least. And that way, if we do need something and we can give like a 24-hour notice, like, can we set up a meeting tomorrow this time? and that way we make sure everybody sees it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Not everybody's available. Not everybody's available mornings to afternoons, and they won't see an afternoon meeting till like after it's done.
Yeah, that's my case. I normally connect until 5 or 6 my time in Central Time. Yeah, normally you do that.
So if we can just make sure we're checking in at least once a day, then and seeing if anybody needs help with anything.
Okay.
Yeah. And in that way, it's just like sometimes I just know sometimes I'm like the one who's just struggling sometimes. So like, if instead of wanting, because I know for me, I don't want to call a team meeting if I'm the only one who's struggling with just one little thing. And then that's also just a nice way to be able to say, hey, Chris, or hey, Andrew, can you help me with this?
All right.
If anybody says, "Hey, Andrew, can you help me with this?" I don't know how successful that's gonna turn out.
Well,
just
for
kidding.
example, Andrew, you're way better at. I can guarantee you, just for general CSS, for just making it look good, I can guarantee you, I'll probably ask you.
Well, okay. Sounds good.
Because although I'm pretty good with the animation and moving things around, I'm not a designer. So I may ask for some help occasionally.
Sounds good. Well, I enjoy doing it. I'm not necessarily that great at it. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up our meeting since this went way long. Brandon's gonna have fun watching all this.
Oh yeah.
Andrew, just one question. Do we have a deadline to finish any of these features that we are engaging on?
So I would say I don't know. We haven't really written up a project plan. So I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? Because I'd say the core features need to be done pretty quick.
Yeah, by Friday, the core features should be good to go, because once the cores are done, all the other ones are self-reliant. So the other features could take a week if they want. They can do it in 3 days if they want. But they won't be able to progress until we're done with the core.
So if you don't mind, I think we should set that deadline as Saturday night, just so that, because I know Brandon he posted and said he was swamped all week and he would be working Friday and Saturday on the Ajax.
Well, that's fine. I mean, I don't think anyone's using Ajax right now for our features.
Yeah. So
I think the Ajax will come in place when we are trying to integrate with the main menus and all that. If you're pulling one of the extra features or extra content, then you will be pulling it with Ajax. But
sweet. So we want to do Friday or Saturday?
Whichever you want. I'm fine with Saturday for Brandon.
Saturday would probably work better for me getting things done, just because I'm pretty busy.
Well, okay, I'm gonna start on Friday with the memory game, because I don't think I'll need anything with Ajax.
Yeah, and yours wouldn't really be on a deadline, Jesus, because it's an additional feature.
Okay. Okay.
But Cahoon's with the quiz we'd want to have that done, because it's one of the core.
The quiz can take his time. I mean, he can't start until Friday when I'm done with my stuff on Tuesday.
That's true.
That's like the same with me. I have to make sure you're done too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be done by Thursday, I promise you guys, and I'll have a video out to walk you through how to use that object.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right. Well, I actually got to get going, guys. So I'm gonna duck out.
Yeah, I have to as well.
All right. We'll see.
All right. See you.
We'll see you next week.
Okay.
Okay.
Catch you guys.
All right. Bye.
Bye.